Hey, what's up, y'all? This is former NASCAR driver Bill Lester.
Bob Cockers.
I'm NASCAR driver Natalie Decker.
NASCAR's Chief Hype Officer Mamba Smith.
And you're listening to Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lane Vibe.
Let's go.
376, Antron Brown is the Top Fuel champion.
Just praying for it. There it is. Raja Caruth wins it at Las Vegas. First career win, gets it done.
You stayed in the game, and it was just one step, one punch, one round at a time, and my guys had me a great stop, and we just executed. So there's more to come for sure.
His final time through 3 and 4. He's gonna do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
Ready. What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
He is the man who raises the bar, who raises the stats, who takes things to stratospheric levels, and he's only got 3 corners now. He can see the crowd standing and giving him that round of applause. 8 times we've said it before. Here's a 9th for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory! Hamilton is back.
Like
sand thing?
Yeah, the sand
thing. Like in the jars where you like pour them and they make really pretty things.
No, like the thing that does the time, like the sand.
Hourglass? Oh my god.
Yeah, hourglass.
The sand things.
Yeah, the sand thing.
Between you and
baklava, y'all don't know the names of nothing. Now I'm hungry. I want to go make some bread and some baklava.
Man, bro, you ain't gotta make it. Just go to the store. It's like $1.
Nothing is $1. Nothing is $1.
It's okay. It's close to $1.
Okay,
Mister, I'm buying Getty Images. Don't talk to us.
I didn't buy it because it was $300.
You rich.
I thought it was like 20. I thought it was like 20 bucks.
Hey, Art, he got it. I bet he already pre-ordered that race win too.
I didn't.
Bet you did. That Racing USA email already done hit.
Nah, bro. If I log on the line that website, they're gonna track my location through my IP address and send to my house because I owe them too much money.
That's why I said Racing USA.
That too.
You got the.
They probably got. Any distributor Lionel has, they got a picture of an 8x10 in the break room office. I mean, in the office break room. Do not sell. Like that one cartoon with that one bastard could never get a cheeseburger. That's me. Do not sell diecast too. Yeah.
You out here on the VPN.
I'd gladly tell you Tuesday for diecast today, but Tuesday never came.
That's really funny, Carl.
Have mercy. All right.
Oh, this was live. Oh shit.
Yeah. Like I said, we burning tape, but let's go ahead and let's do it. Let's get it in. Let's start.
We're on
the show.
tape delay. Don't worry. I can edit out your N bombs that you just dropped.
Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. Full disclaimer: we don't get paid for the opinions we share, so there will be no tap dancing. There will be no drumming. There will be no gagging. There will be no glazing this episode. We own the opinions of Victory Lane Vibes. We speak our truths. And fuck you if you don't. With that being said, it's Jared, it's Art, it's Carl, it's Jer. And we can get this show started off right. You know what I'm saying? Apologize for the disclaimer, but I'm seeing a lot of NASCAR media just foot and mouth, just licking boots, just gagging on it, just being real foul and nasty.
Okay.
So we're not gonna do that. We're a week away from the championship. And let's talk about how we get there. First things first, let's talk about the NAS trucks. There was Friday night under the lights at the Clip. Raj's team pulled a Christopher Bell and forgot to pack the brakes. So he unfortunately would not make the championship 4. But things are looking up for 2311's new crew chief because he put his driver in the championship 4. Christian Ekins wins the truck race at Martinsville, cementing him a spot, racing for the championship, along with his cohorts of 2-time Grant Enfinger, Ty Majeski, and Corey Heim. What did we think of the truck race?
I'll go first. I was very thrilled to Jared's point about the 19's crew chief performance. I think if there's ever a time to reinforce a hiring decision, it's to go out and dominate the very next race on the schedule, right? Yeah, I was very happy with the win. I really want to skip past anything else about this race personally, just because Poor Raja was snake bit from the word go and finished like 20 laps down. So this race really hurt my soul in that regard. I think the biggest controversy was Ekes not talking about his move at the end, right? And there was discussion about he moved a guy he didn't have to move because of the points and all this. And this is why I hate this whole stupid playoff system, because it takes away like from the essence of what a driver should be trying to do, which is they should be trying to win every race. Like if you have the ability to win 36 races or however many truck races there are, like you should be trying to win every single one. He did not wreck the guy. He did not, dump him. He didn't Kenseth him, So I just don't understand why there was such pushback. And then you see, Cole Custer getting run up on. Cole Custer has been at wrestling the last couple of weeks, so I don't know if he's the guy you really want to square up with. He looked country strong. I would not mess with Cole. So I'm excited for the playoffs or finale for trucks. I think Christian or Cole are gonna be my picks, one of those two. But overall, it was a fine race. It really wasn't super exciting just because Christian dominated it so much. He was ahead pretty much the entire time for the most part. So a great performance. And I'm just like, get to airspeed ASAP, please. If you're not there already, if you need, your office set up, I'll happily drive down and get you ready because I'm feeling really nice about that decision. And I'm excited to see what he does next year.
Yeah, I mean, Art, to your point earlier on, like, I didn't watch the truck race live. I watched a replay and followed up with highlights and everything. And I mean, the weekend was controversial from start to finish, like for all three races. And it started with the trucks and, of course, Twitter's blowing up. And so I'm expecting to watch this race and see this, like, see him just send him into the wall or something. But like you said, it wasn't really that, like, it didn't really feel like it was that deep. I didn't really feel like all of the conversation around it was all that necessary. I mean, at the end of the day, Ekes, like, he did a great job. That was his race. I mean, he dominated. So to have that just be the conversation around the win is, just really disappointing. I think it takes away a lot of the positivity that should come from running a race like that. Like it just completely gets brushed over when you have, just a lot of really negative talk about something that didn't really feel like it was that big of a deal. And then, Art, I'm in the same boat as you where, immediately just seeing Raja, he's got gremlins in his car and nothing's going right for him. And then it's awesome to see him come out. Like you always want to see somebody finish a race. I hate to see somebody just go to the garage and park it, but it was just so painful seeing the lap count of how far he was down. But at the end of the day, it was Martinsville. It was a great race. I had a lot of fun watching it. So.
Carl?
Yeah. I don't know where I was for the truck race. I remember I was at the last part of it. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. Heartbroken for Raj. I mean, huh?
Were you in a theater?
No, that was for the Xfinity race.
That was a matinee. Yeah, Saturday matinee.
Okay, well, whatever. I still don't understand how me supporting. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But
open a can of worms.
Yeah, keep it moving, brother. Keep it moving.
I mean, we can't. It don't matter. But anyway, So yeah, I mean, I was following the truck race as much as I could early on. Like I said, I don't remember where exactly I was, but heartbroken for Raj. But it was kind of always going to be an uphill battle for him anyway, with the truck playoffs as short as they are, and impact and everything. Grant Enfinger seemed to really pick up at the right time, and then you had the usual suspects. And Raj is still learning a lot. I think that program is still learning a lot. From what I saw, I mean, it felt like it was actually fairly tame. Right up until the end, and there was a lot of discourse, and we can talk about that separately or not, because that's all that I really have enough expertise to talk about. I saw highlights outside of that, but that was it. And my discourse on it is this, man. Like, this system that has brought us, our chickens have come home to roost tonight for the Cup race specifically. This system has really just like just put the blinders on drivers in the top 3 series that like winning is the only thing that matters anymore. There is no rationale of like, I can finish second and be okay. And like, so on one hand, like, okay, well, that's, some people think, well, that's good. That's what you want. On the other hand, you have situations like, where you have Christian Eckes, race Ben Rhodes pretty clean. Doesn't really door him. Like I said, just kind of races him hard, like I said, and gets around him. And then, he just sends Taylor Gray to like Prince George County from Martinsville. I mean, just ships him, and then it's just such a smug son of a bitch about it after the fact. It was like, well, you should have wrecked me. And it's like, bro, my brother in Christ, he was telling you like you didn't have to do that because he didn't do it. People were like, well, what was he supposed to do? He was going for the win, blah, blah. Shut up. I don't know. I don't know. It just seemed very distasteful to me. And I have said before that it is really hard to really enjoy the truck series because outside of just being like a bully, there are no personalities in the truck series. I mean, and so like that sucks. But outside of that, I mean, it's cool. I really hope Grant, wins next weekend. I think I'm busy for the next 2 weeks, and so the only race I'll probably get to see is the truck race. So hopefully, Grant wins that. He's been around for a long time, gone through a lot of deals, all that kind of good stuff. So it's cool to see him move on. But besides that, that's all I gotta say about that. So,
do you think that there will be, I wouldn't say payback, but do you think there's going to be an altercation involving Taylor Gray next week?
I don't, unless they are together on track long enough, and Eckes makes it a point to maybe race him hard, like in a situation, for example, like where maybe maybe Eckes has to come through the field, right, and and he feels like people should pull over for him, and he kind of like gets rough with the 17. Maybe he doesn't hit him, but he just is right on him. I feel like at that point, probably something would happen. But I think after last year's deal with, I was trying to think of some clever way to rhyme Al-Qaeda with Carson Hocevar. But after Carson Hocevar's deal last year, I think that the officials are probably taking a closer look at that, and they've probably said like, don't do it. Quite simply, don't do it. So I think that Taylor probably will just, shake his fist when he goes by, but that's about it because what are you going to do, So I don't think so. Unless Christian just really just drags it out of him, I don't think it'll happen. So.
Well, it might be doubtful for trucks, but I know it's going to be certain for Xfinity. Xfinity race win yesterday. Eric Almirola put belt to ass and won the he swept the Martinsville races this year, which is a damning thing to say. But there was beef. There was in-race beef, post-race beef. Cole Custer v. Your boy Chandler Smith. Chandler crashed out on national television during his post-race interview. And he said, yeah, Cole ain't winning next week. Enjoy your sticker because you ain't getting no championship trophy. Let's talk about the race, and then we'll see who we have our betting odds on for the post-race scuffle between Chandler and Cole Custer. Anybody excited about Eric Almirola winning? Yay. E-car win.
Move right on, man.
Moving on.
I got some I got some paint that's drying. I would rather, cut my grass with, a pair of tweezers before I celebrate Eric Almirola win. I would rather mop up a beach than I would rather watch Eric Almirola win. He led a bunch. Chandler Smith was a terrorist at times. Like, he just absolutely destroyed the 9. So I just don't know where some of these guys get off being upset at getting moved when they are, distribution center levels of shipping mere laps earlier. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel like anything is going to happen next week, to answer your previous question as well. I'm fully on the team nothing ever happens at this point, especially after the truck race last year. And I feel like more often than not, a week goes by and they calm down, they get away from the track, and then, you know, someone gets in their ear, whether it's the crew chief, the team owner, the sponsor, and they're like, hey, you know, we should probably not do this. It's probably going to cost us money. It's probably going to make you look bad and probably make our sponsors pissed off. It's like nothing ever happens. But outside of that, I don't mind admitting I was at a family function, so I did not watch this race, but I'm excited for Cole, Allgaier, Allmendinger to be in the Final Four. I'm not excited for Austin Hill to be in the Final Four. I pray for his downfall every night, along with Almirola. So hopefully these will start hitting soon, because I'm running out of weeks for these guys to not have success. So that's really all I'm looking forward to when it comes to Xfinity. It seemed like there was a lot of controversy with this race, right? I asked in the chat how messy was this race, and they said it was a turd stain. They said it was real ugly. So that's really not a surprise considering Xfinity and Martinsville. But I don't know. I have a question, actually. I'm gonna save it for later. I have a question for open mic, so I'll save it. Sorry.
All right.
Jer.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like Smith's frustration for what happened to him is more so coming from, like, it just seems like he's as mad as he was and went to go try to throw a punch, which wasn't actually a punch. It was more of a slap. But that's not the point. But anyways, it just seems like he was really pissed off because of when it happened to him and what it did to him in those final moments, not necessarily the fact that it happened. And then again, you know, as soon as the race ends, he marches over and throws a half punch, open-handed situation against someone who is like twice his size, and literally laughed about it immediately, and not in a like he's just laughing about it to look cool sort of thing. Like, he legitimately thought it was funny because he felt wind brush across his face. So I mean, yeah, it just seemed like he kind of just got what he had coming to him in that race. And yeah, I mean, don't dish it if you cannot take it, I guess is how it feels. I also was not able to catch the Xfinity race, so I don't really have a lot to say here, other than I'm just excited to see what happens next weekend. It's got a good group of 4. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think there will be any retaliation because, like Art said, you know, you've got the week to calm down, but on top of that, there's nothing to hide behind if you retaliate the following weekend. You know, you've alluded to it, whether it was on social media or whether it was just with post-race interviews, or you're hollering at the guy. Just like in any situation, if you allude to it, or if there's an altercation the week prior and then you do something that looks even a little bit fishy the next week, like, yeah, you're getting fined, team's getting fined, sponsors are pissed off. Like, no one is going to do that. If they are smart, at least, which I hope these guys are a little smarter than that, I guess.
I know, I still think he'll crash out because he doesn't have a ride for next year. So why not? Damn everybody, the whole field. Carl, do you want to give anything to glorify your favorite Xfinity driver winning again in a lower series?
Yeah, we've known each other for almost 2 years now. It's not longer, and I know that you know that I know that you know that Eric Almirola could be the last tree in the forest at the end of the world, and he wouldn't be my most favorite tree. So I don't know where you got the favorite driver thing from. I wasn't surprised. I'll say that much. I'm very impressed that he's done all that good driving with a black eye. That's all I got to say. I didn't watch the Xfinity race. I was not available for it. I still don't understand the context of what happened with Cole Custer. I don't know. I mean, I normally, I can kind of BS my way through it. I literally did not see nearly anything behind it. So I don't have any commentary behind it. I mean, I guess, that should make the case for Eric to drive full time next year, but he won't. So, thankfully. So there's that.
No, he likes watching baseball, so he'll be hard time again.
Like watching baseball. Get the
So now what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, let's cue the calls from the hotline before we all get our collective tees off, and we drive this ball down the driving range. Let's go ahead and get worked up. All right, what you got?
We have 2 calls this week, and I think the first one's going to be a bit shorter, and then I think the second one will be a bit more substantial. So here we go.
What a terrible race!
Well, it's your boy Baraka G,
For the record, that was the end of the first call. It was just what a terrible race.
Nice.
When he mentioned us on
who
Twitter,
was
I was
that?
expecting something of more substance.
I don't know who it
What
was.
did you ask for, though?
He channeled his inner Bonte. I was
I
expecting.
think that was
Verstappen fan.
that was our good friend, my good friend Mitchell Riggs. I think that's who that was.
Well, Richard, if it is Mitchell, he's a man of few words, but I respect it.
Yeah,
May not be good for the podcast game, but you know what? He's
that sounds like him, and it watch is actually not him, and I just doxed him. It's fine though.
All right, so then we have a second one with Baraka.
It's been a minute since I've been on the podcast, but I just wanted to express my 2 cents on this clusterfuck of a race and a clusterfuck of a format. You got a man who is responsible for, making sure everything is clean on track, and saying it's like, oh, we didn't pay attention to that, but we'll look into that at a later date. You got Sawyer saying, the playoff format is great, that it has 4 drivers bringing their A game, when it just promotes stuff like this. It promotes just pure shit housery at best. That's not 10 out of 10. That's just it's a mid-off if you want to be real. And the fact that Chevy is doing blatant race manipulation, but Bell, it's like, I'm not saying what Bell did is right, but it's like the fact that he got loose, which is correct. He hit the road and wrote the wall. Okay, he didn't gain an advantage doing that. So I just don't get it. All you can do is laugh at this point, because it's the same shit every year. And the fact, how bad it is. It's like, most people know that I don't like Brad Keselowski, but his tweet today, the fact that I'm agreeing with him, says a lot. This playoff format is dumb. It's stupid. It promotes shithousery. It causes so much, and it benefits. It doesn't really benefit anyone, in the grand scheme of things, I guess. But it is what it is. My head's on Mars, but yeah. Talk to y'all later.
You'll find your head, Baraka. You being on Mars doesn't sound like a good place for your head to be, sir.
No, he's spitting though.
He is spitting, but let us get into it. So the Cup race was today. Shout out to Denny for driving from the back. Shout out to the team for fixing the car. Did what you had to do. Ran out of laps. Car got tight. Whatever happened. Strong effort. Shout out SVG finishing 12th today in the Cup race, which is fantastic on all accounts and all accords. I think he's going to be ready to show up and show out next season. And then Carl called it. YRB was going to show up and do what he had to do. He goes back-to-back in the fall Martinsville race, and he's prepared to race for a championship next week against Tyler Reddick, his teammate Joey Logano, and the driver with the blank check to NASCAR. So, like, interesting race. They brought the softest of the soft tires. The only thing that I saw that it do is just made the cars filthy. The cars are absolutely filthy today.
Yeah, boy, I cannot wait for this race version to drop.
Absolutely filthy. I mean, all in all, decent race. It's not, a cup race unless there's shenanigans. It's not the race before the championship 4 unless there's shenanigans. And just like how you heard Baraka, because we don't really have to talk about the race. Nobody cares about the race. The race is trash. We're here for the ending, and that's what we're going to talk about. So Ryan Blaney wins, ran away, and we seemingly were going to have a Hendrickless championship 4, which we all hoped for and predicted last week. The NASCAR stepped their ugly heads in and said, no, we need one. So all 3 manufacturers can be represented for the championship. And William Byron gets to advance over Christopher Bell, deeming his getting loose into the wall, hitting the wall, trying to get away from the wall, accelerating to try to pull the car away from the wall, and in essence, quote unquote, riding the wall, results in him getting an in-race safety violation penalty, which cannot be appealed because it was an in-race decision, promoting William Byron to the championship 4, demoting Christopher Bell, and therefore settling the tiebreaker between the two. Thoughts on the Cup race, Jair?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are all here to talk about the ending, but I don't want it to be lost in the conversation. Just one thing in particular, I mean, Denny Hamlin started 37th, and by lap 170, he was up to 10th. And I think he restarted, was it lap 170? I don't know. Doesn't matter. He got up to 10th and at one point was leading the race in second, stuff like that. Like, that's an incredible job from Hamlin. I don't want that to be lost. I think it's said frequently, it's his year every year until it's not his year anymore. It never, to me personally, it never really felt like his year. I think early in the on he had some momentum, but just this last, I think maybe 5-6 races, especially in the playoffs, it's just really felt like it was, a struggle to move forward. So it was really a bummer to see him lose out in Martinsville, but I think he ran a really great race, and it was just, it just wasn't his year. As I think it did say on the broadcast at one point that Chase Elliott led the most laps he led this year in stage 1, which feels a bit, I heard that on the broadcast. I wrote it down. I didn't really dig too deep into that, but I thought that was a really interesting stat that happened today. And then, yeah, I mean, the finish, Blaney winning is incredible. Very happy for that, of course. I'm sure he's very happy to be out of the controversy. I think he even said it. He was very happy to be out of the controversy. However, yeah, I don't know. One thing in particular that is really disappointing in the aftermath of this, I mean, frankly, I just logged off of Twitter once I started seeing a few bits of it. But, there are a lot of people who report on NASCAR every weekend, sharing some very disingenuous things about the finish of this race, and it's really disappointing to be insinuating that the 23 was intentionally slowing down and was trying to give the position to Bell. I mean, you have Sarah tweeting with 3 laps to go, reporting that she's hearing the 23 reporting problems with his tires and really fighting the car. Unless the conspiracy is including Sarah, I don't think there's a conspiracy here. Unless somebody was telling her in the stands at the race to, hey, tweet some false radio calls about that's just not a thing that's happening. And I just want people to be serious for a second. And to have NASCAR media folks spreading very disingenuous things about it, it's just really disappointing, because at the end of the day, it doesn't take much to go back and listen to the radio calls that you're claiming are saying things that aren't saying things. He was, like I said, he was reporting for for a while at that point that he was really struggling with the car. And yeah, it's unfortunate that that's the result of that. It's unfortunate that he's in the middle of it, but that is the reality of the situation. And yeah, I mean, as far as whether or not I think Bell should have had the spot over Byron, I mean, Yeah, I don't know. It looks like he got stuck in the wall and he was just trying to like doing his best to recover and stay afloat. But it also does kind of look like he rode the wall a little bit longer than maybe was necessary. And again, this is just a complete observation. This isn't me looking up. I'm not pulling up any data. This is just me looking at the video. Like he does ride it a little bit longer than I would expect to see in that situation. So I can see why NASCAR made the call that they did, but it's just really unfortunate all around that, we're 3 for 3 on shenanigans in the races this weekend. And the conversation is not so much around the quality of the racing. It's not so much around, we're back at Martinsville. It's the cutoff race. It's just straight up about, we had 2 races in a row where somebody dumped them questionably and there were post-race altercation. And then you had this last race where everybody is claiming manipulation. Everybody is claiming some version of cheating. And then, it's just disappointing. I really wish we were talking about the racing and not the shithousery, to be honest. That's a great word.
Yeah.
Carl.
Yo.
Thoughts on the Cup race?
Yeah, man. So, I'll say first off, I thought the racing, from what I was able to see with this new tire, was actually pretty good. I feel like you had some comers and goers. It is unfortunate that old tires really don't make that big of a difference over the new tires. Although it was cooler, and this is a work in progress, and whatever the case may be, and NASCAR is committed to the bit of we're just going to find tires that make this car work instead of making the car work. But that being said, I will say that it was an incredible drive from the 11 and from the 12. Just fantastic, especially the last restart where Ryan had lost 2 spots on a shithousery. That's the theme of tonight. Restart with Kyle Busch's tire, which, that's about the way the year for the 8's gone anyway. And he lost 2 spots. We went from 8th to 10th and drove from 10th to 1st in, 40 laps, maybe 35 laps, something like that. I thought that was really good, and that was exciting to watch. But ultimately, we're here to talk about, I think, the bigger fish, which is the finish and all the fallout from that. And my thing is this, man. Just look at this. Use your eyes, right? So, luckily there's an account on Twitter that puts out onboards every week of critical moments. He does a fantastic job. Was it Andrew Basso? I think Andrew Basso 88. Yeah. Shout out to
Basso
him. Shout out to him before. Yeah, he does great work. And I went back and he posted a couple of different clips. And look, I know it is very easy, like, for us to try to come to the defense of the 20 and the 23, right, because of where our personal allegiances lie. But the reality is like there's nothing there. It's a nothing sandwich. I did see as the race was ending, I did see Sarah's tweet that Jared mentioned, wherein the 23 was talking about having tire issues. And I said to myself, well, that's par for the course for the day, right? And I thought nothing of it, right? But I even said in our group chat, I said, it's really curious how, the 3 and the 1 both got to the 24 and all of a sudden they couldn't pass him anymore when he was dropping like a rock like before that. Because, he fell. If I go back and watch, he fell a substantial amount of time back to them. His car was still handling. And, you could, and so anyway, look, man, I don't know what you want. You know what I mean? Like, you look at that clip and it's very obvious that the 23 is having an issue. He's fading. The 20 catches him. And from the look of it, Christopher Bell, his intention was, I'm just going to go in here as hard as I can and move the 23 out of the way if I have to, take the spot, pass him, and that's it. So how anybody can draw the conclusion that they were telling the 23 to drop back is beyond me, because if you told me to drop back to let another car pass, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where that car can potentially collide with me. The 20 straight up collided with the 23. Like, he missed the corner trying to get around him and put himself in the wall. Like, you can see it's very evident there. And so, like, that's maddening as it is. You also have what I talked about with the Bubba Wallace economy. Like, anything that happens around him is magnified like times 10. People immediately got Twitter thumbs out and was like, he fixed the race, all that stupid shit they always do, foam at the fucking mouth. And all the while, the most damning thing that happened, they played on the broadcast, which is the radio from the 1 and the 3, right? Which 11 years ago, mind you, similar radio communications got both Penske and Michael Waltrip Racing in trouble. It did irreparable damage to Michael Waltrip Racing, and nothing came of that. And so, to me, what is so frustrating? First of all, I wanted Bell in the Final Four. I want Bell to win a title, so I was bitter about that. Right? NASCAR had to make a call. They said, "Look, we haven't even looked at the radio communication. We haven't looked at what the 23 did. All that we see is that Christopher Bell hit the wall. He throttled up. He turned into the wall and kept it going, which he wall rode. Okay, sure, whatever. And then they penalized him under some BS about a safety ruling or whatever, which made no sense. You could have just came out and said, like, this is a rule and he broke it. I don't know why you had to try to dumb it down for us. But, again, it's just like, how damning is it that you guys have deliberate manipulation going on? You accuse somebody else of doing it, and you caught somebody red-handed. We all heard it. Nothing is going to come from that. Now, I'm sure because such a big deal was made of it after the fact, they're going to probably do some penalizing, whatever. But it is just an embarrassment at this point. And if this is what teams have stooped to, you remember last year we complained, we ranted about the Talladega race last year, because that was also a very glaring example of that. I think now more than ever, everybody's on board. Just do away with it. Let's stop creating this moment, because for the 5 minutes of like, damn, this is cool, this is dramatic, this is exciting, you've got 4 days worth of this really fucking sucks that we're at this point. And this is a terrible precedent that we set. And it should not be this hard to officiate this sport. And it should not come down to you having to work out a deal with 2 different teams of the same manufacturer, mind you, to try to make sure that your car gets into the final race with intent for a championship. And also, I'll say this: I have never, ever, under any circumstances, said that any Cup champion has a Mickey Mouse title. And people wanted to say it in last year. They wanted to say it in 22. I know I wanted to say it in 21 with Larson, because there was the whole, he's got good cars. People wanted to say it in 20. I have respected the results of whoever wins that race and said that's a champion. I will go to my grave saying that if William Byron is hosting that title come Sunday, that will have the biggest asterisk ever, because there is just no way you can consider it legitimate. That was fixed. That was the most clearest definition of it being fixed in a sport that I have argued for 20 years you can't fix. People all the time say, "Oh, it's rigged." I'm like, you can't rig that. But what happened? So anyway, I'm floored, and I had to reel it back in a little bit, because I was like, I'm really happy Ryan Blaney won. I wanted to see that. I'm glad it panned out that way. It was a great drive by him. I want him to go back to back. But damn it, man, what are we doing here at this point anymore? You know what I mean? What are we doing? Anyway, so that's it. That's all I got.
All right.
Well,
then I'm choosing violence.
Carl tried to take everything off the menu. He didn't give me no chance. Give me no topics.
Chicken Big Mix still up there. You still got something?
Gross.
So yeah, I'm gonna just start from a personal standpoint. My weekend, my Sunday for NASCAR was ruined by the NASCAR app telling me the race started at 4 p.m. So I turned on that motherfucker at 3:45. It was half over. It was on lap 255. Oh, whatever. I just want to say get that right. So there's so many things to talk about. I don't really know where to start with. I'll start with the easy ones first, I guess. I agree with Carl about the tires. Yeah, they look nice and dusty and cool, but the fall off is just not nearly as advertised or as promised. And it's like, oh, hey, the thing that didn't work 32 times didn't work on the 33rd time. So I wasn't surprised by that. For Ryan, I think this is another clutch notch in his belt. Right, like to do something once is impressive. To do it twice, it's really, really extraordinary. So to be able to go into a place that's very hard to win, very hard to pass, especially hard to pass in today's NASCAR, and make the drive that he had to do and with no option, right? There's no second place means nothing. Winning the stages and finishing second means absolutely nothing. To do the one thing he had to do, I think was impressive, and it wasn't a fluke, right? It wasn't necessarily just like a strategy call or like someone got wiped out for it. It was just he drove up there and took it from the guys that are at the front of the field. So I give you big points. I like Ryan. I don't like the fact that he's able to do this based on the point setup, but I never blame the drivers for the system that they're forced to work in. One thing I just want to touch quickly on before I get to the whole end of the race is, a guy we haven't talked about at all yet was or not much, I should say, but was Denny. I feel like this might be a legacy defining race for him. And like that really hurts me to say, but he was in the exact same situation, had to win, knew what it takes to win. They've won there before. And then for whatever happenstance, you can call it curse, you can call it choke, you can call it bad luck, you can call it whatever you want, but things just don't go his way in the most clutch moments of the season, right? Like you can go dominate at Richmond in April, and that doesn't mean shit in November. So that's one thing I just want to touch on. I know that's got to be gutting, right? Starting from practice, and when I turned it on, he was up to third, and so I was like, okay, cool. Like he's at least got a chance at it. They were never a top 2 or top 3 even car late in the race. So that's really frustrating to see. And he's such a great driver. I hate that so much. So then you get to the finish. You get to Byron and Bell. And I feel like this is, again, just a product of the environment that NASCAR has made. When I sit there and look at the two situations, they both, air quotes, cheated, right? Like they both broke the rules. Like you can't have, like, I get the ride the wall rule is very black and white, and I think the fact that rule is so black and white, that's why they chose to punish only the 20, because that rule is the more obviously broken rule, right? That's the car that's doing 100 in in a 45 versus the car doing 50 in a 45. So you're gonna go after the guy that does the more obvious thing. I don't think it was necessarily intentional at first, but I think he might have just panicked after he slid up in the wall and was like, screw it, I'm just going to gun it. Even though he didn't have to panic because Bubba was having those troubles. But I mean, in the moment, you don't realize that. But when it comes to the Chevys and like, I'm not a huge hater of HMS. Like I root for other teams more than them, but what the Chevys did, that's way worse to me. I mean, that is clearly something that's been planned and designed and was strategized around. Bell's to me was an impromptu moment. So when you take the time to conspire with other teams from multiple other organizations, to me, that's way worse. And, you saw it on the broadcast, right? The 24 was backing up and there was, 10, 12 to go. So there's no chance he's going to hold these guys off. And it looked like a parade. Like it literally looked like a parade with the two cars just riding behind him, refusing to pass. And, I think that Andrew, you mentioned Carl, he just released the audio like 5 minutes ago from Austin Dillon's on board.
Yeah.
And, it's damning. It's like, I mean, they literally say Like, if you have not heard it, but as you're listening to this, I encourage you to go find it and listen to it, because they literally say, does the one crew chief know the deal? You know, the 24 can't lose a spot. He can't lose one spot. Like, that is so much of a smoking gun that I just don't know how you can possibly pretend that that didn't happen.
They even go so far as to say, Austin asks, I guess, a spotter, who is he racing? And he says, it doesn't matter. He just can't give up 2 more spots. We can't pass him. If we pass him, he won't be in, is what they said. And then before the race even starts, they say, be mindful of these HMS cars racing for the Final Four today. Like, come on, bro. You cannot be serious.
And like, there's a line of what I'm willing to accept from teams. Like, because I get you're a non-playoff team. You know, you don't want to ruin anyone's playoff run. So like, you give them a little bit of extra room, and like, I'm okay with that. I think, you know, having a little bit of a professional courtesy to these guys that are racing for more than you is fine. But there's a difference between moving over and giving a guy extra space and literally playing defense for him. I mean, you're literally blocking for him and refusing to pass. And I just think that's such a bad look. You know, and like, the audio does not lie. And I guarantee you, the data probably shows that they are not going at full throttle like they were to get up to him. Because I mean, they drove right up to him, and with 10 laps to go, just parked it behind him. So it just, to me, is such a bad look. You know, we always talk on here about legitimacy. I think this is another giant hole in the tapestry of legitimacy, that sail, whatever analogy you want to use. Like, to me, it's ruined. So it's just disappointing, you know, like, you want this race to go and be clean and you know, clean, air quotes, clean as much as you can. But I just don't understand how you can look at this and just decide, well, you know, one team benefited from breaking the rules, but the other team didn't. Which is why I say that, to me, it's more obvious. Like, ESPN is not going to play, and like, the main media channels are not going to play that audio. They're going to play Bell riding the wall and say, oh, look, let's compare it to Ross's, and, you know, try to make it seem like they're the same thing when they're really not. Like, I get the argument you're making, but again, if I'm looking at a spare of the moment decision versus collaborating with multiple organizations, to me, that's just way worse. So that's really frustrating. And then, you know, like I said, with the whole point situation, to me, it's just such an embarrassment in terms of the way the system is set up. So we mentioned Andrew. I want to credit another channel, Coop Designs on Twitter. He had a listing of the playoff points, or the points without there being playoffs. And based off of just raw points alone, you have drivers finishing 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th in terms of total points running for the championship. So Larson, Elliott, and Bell gained the most points. Like, they were the best of the field. And Larson even has the asterisk of one fewer race, but none of them compete for a title, you know, and the 14th place driver competes for a title. And again, like, I don't blame the teams at all, but I just don't know how you can look at that and say that's legitimate. You know, you look at team sports. You can't tell me that a team goes, you know, wins 2 wins all season, but they win the final game in the regular season, gets to go compete for a championship. Like, that's not how sports work. Like, you have to meet a minimum threshold of competition against your opponents throughout the regular season, not just have one good weekend. So yeah, I just feel like, again, like, it's disappointing. Like, I'm not gonna get on here and get too mad, because like I said, they've just beaten me with these bad decisions that I'm not at all surprised. I think the one thing that I'll just say that makes me, I think, the most frustrated is that Elliott mentioned in the media center after the race that they only looked at Bell riding the wall. They said that they did not look into the 23 having damage, and they did not look into the Chevys blocking for them at all. And I just don't understand, when you have something as blatant and obvious that, how you can choose to not review it officially without it appearing like you have your thumb on the scale. You know, you're saying you're going to look at it later on, but what does that mean? Are you going to do anything? Like, are they going to come out on Wednesday and be like, oh yeah, actually, we take it back. We're not going to we're going to take them both out, DQ them both, and we'll let whoever was next in the points. I don't know if it was Larson or Denny, but we're going to let those guy in the Final Four. Like, it just screams to me that we don't know what we're doing and we're making up the rules as we go along again. And that's the general theme that I get when you're on here saying we think the playoffs delivered. This was 10 out of 10. This is what we were looking for. These are direct quotes from Elliott tonight. Like, this isn't what anyone wants. Like, no one's happy.
Yeah, the whole we like what we're seeing bit.
Yeah, so like it's okay, but you are the only ones. And I looked at those crowds at Martinsville tonight, and it was a good turnout. But I tell you what, it won't a sellout. I saw some steel bleachers in there between the people where there weren't butts in seats. So it's disappointing again. Like it's NASCAR being shitty again. Like I'd expect nothing less. I put it that way. I think that might be the most damning thing I can say is I would have been surprised if they got it right. And they did not surprise me again.
I feel like for myself, everybody's questioning the legitimacy of the sport with the calls and decisions that they're making. But you got to remember, they're in this for entertainment. They don't care about the legitimacy. They don't care about the history. They don't care about legacy. They care about ratings and are we the hot thing now? Which is why they created all these games of a moment so they can have catch that viral moment like Art talks about on here sometimes. Like they want to be consistently viral and have that, lead and change and make the charge and all the ratings and everything that they care about. But first and foremost, shout out to NASCAR for seeing Kyle Busch's tire on the track, having the race go green, and then calling the yellow to re-rack them. Appreciate y'all instead of just holding the caution. That's what set up all the malarkey that the race ended up being. That just
you
set it all up.
You mean they made a call that benefited the 5?
No, of course. Of course. The check cleared. They had to make up for ballast watch when the 48 was underweight. It had the Ozempic in the fuel tank. They had to make up for that, which is why the boss call was made, and William Byron is going to race for a championship. Beyond that, the 1 and the 3 need to be fined monetarily. They need to have 100 owner points and driver's points taken away from them. The crew chiefs need to not come back until Martinsville next year. I need a 4-race suspension because if that wasn't race manipulation and collusion, I don't know what is. If you don't want to take the time tonight, Elton Sawyer, to make a decision on that part, cool. If you feel like Christopher Bell's act was, a safety violation, fine. If you in your heart of hearts you felt comfortable with that decision, whatever. Come tomorrow morning when you go back to Charlotte, you pull up the race replays, you pull up the radio recordings, and you find and dock the 1 and the 3, and you kick them out forever.
Yeah.
They need to be fined heavily because while the safety violation thing might be ticky-tack, race manipulation is very, very, very black and white. And I need you to handle business, and I need you to stand on it. But beyond that, sucks for Christopher Bell. Drove his guts out, tried his hardest. The car wouldn't work. And I guess that's a product of the tire. They wanted to be difficult to drive, late in the run. It just happened to bite him and Bubba at the same time. Jared spoke about, what the disclaimer of mine was in the beginning of the show, that we ain't gonna do all that ticky-tack grossness that everybody else, all the media people in NASCAR are doing. The 23 didn't have anything to do with it. He was just in the camera shot. And it sucks that of all the things Bubba gets mentioned and dragged on, and then forcefully beat upon, browbeat for, this should not be one of those instances. Y'all know his car has ran like ass for the 35 of the 36 race weeks. So damn well if he ain't up front and he's in the back, he's probably struggling. And that's exactly what it was. And that's all that it's going to be. The car was struggling. He was struggling. He was trying to bring it home in one piece. And that's what he ended up doing. So just to have him grouped in with the Christopher Bell situation is just gross, and people need to stop doing that and use his name for clickbait and for engagement tweets and trying to get the check from Elon, because it's not that deep. Your credibility should be worth more than you get a $5 check from Twitter. We're not going to do that here. We never will. As many times as get frustrated by, the things that we get grouped in with being NASCAR media, one thing we're not going to do is sit here and waste our time and lie to you. So You'll never get that experience from Victory Lane Vibes. I'll stand on that. I'll blow all this shit up before that if we ever get charged and accused with that kind of shit. But yeah, it just sucks that there's another cloud over a really great race. The last 60 laps were crazy. Blaney drove his guts out, he moved Keselowski out the way before the pit cycle. He moved him out the way after pit cycle. You could tell he really wanted it. He drove his guts out to get it. He was so hoarse in his post-race interview because he wanted to win and get in, and I'm glad he got it done. I'm very excited for the 4 that we have to contend for a championship. I know that William Byron's probably going to arc a break himself into the wall, so he's not even going to be a factor. He's always going to be the weakest link to me. So we have 3 others that'll fight for it with Tyler, with Ryan, and with Joey. So I'm excited to see next week, but I need that alert to come on my phone Tuesday saying that the 1 and the 3 have been kicked out of NASCAR for the rest of the year and for the Clash and all the things that come in the exhibitions.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted. Has Jared gone yet?
Yeah, Jared went first.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, in addition to that, it's not going to be that severe of a penalty, but I just want to go on record and say, look, if they find that there was deliberate collusion with the 23 as well, penalize them as well, right? Because it sets a bad precedent out of the way.
Right.
I don't feel like there is any evidence of that as of right now. Like I said, there's nothing there. Somebody one tweet went kind of viral. It was like, the way he was like jittery or like didn't want to be on camera, whatever, like post race. And it was like, and it like reminded him of Boyer in 2013. I'm like, well, the thing is like you can hear like the crowd like pretty much booing him. This is not to get off topic. This is what I talk about when I talk about the bubble economy, right? Because again, like that situation was not his doing. It was not his intention. This is the race that decides who contends for a championship. They had a camera on this man getting out of the car and walking down pit road post race, right? Like they mentioned him over the loudspeaker, right? Like, yeah, of course he don't want to do an interview because he knows anything he says in that moment, he's going to be booed. It's going to be like talk on X, Y, and Z because that's just like the interaction that he draws, and they were trying to draw that interaction out from him, and I was just like, no, man, not at all. But if they go and they find the radio transmissions where Freddie says yeah, man, the 20 needs this position. I know there's one out there, but the context of that is Freddie is telling Bubba the entire playoff picture so that they don't get involved in anything. He's not just focusing on just the 20. But if that's out there and they can determine based upon that and SMT data that he did, in fact, back up the car and all that kind of stuff to try to give it the spot to the 20, okay, fine. Do what you got to do. But that's how serious I'm about this because like that kind of stuff just can't happen. It just can't exist. I mean, an example has to be made. I doubt that a hard one will be. What I also want to say is I saw a very foolish tweet just now, which is like, Christopher Bell didn't do anything to deserve to be in the position in the first place during the day's race. My thing is this: he followed the rules, right? The same way that Byron almost let it slip away because he finished too low is the same way that I don't know, man. Y'all don't know what y'all want because, like I said, y'all praise when a guy gets in by 1 point, but somehow, some kind of way, I just can't co-sign to saying any guy that was in this race today trying to contend for a title didn't deserve to be there. And I'm sorry that you feel that way because you're a Hendrick fan, whatever the case may be, but it's like they had a bad day. They worked all day on recovering, and he did exactly what the rules permit him to do, which is I have to finish in this spot numerically to get this point balance, the value, so that I can transfer in. That's what the rules say I have to do, okay? And so if I get that spot by punting the 23, my Toyota teammate, out of the way, then so be it. You know what I mean? Like I just, oh God, it's just maddening. Like I said, because if you remove the wall ride from this situation, we're having an entirely different conversation. They're not even fixing their lips to say it was manipulation, or whatever the case may be. You know, I mean, and Bell's a will man. He was just trying to do what he thought would work in that moment. I totally get it, but to say that Bell didn't deserve to be in that spot in the first place was incredibly silly. But anyway.
Quick touch in 2311 corner. Once again, congratulations to Booty Barker for his promotion to the front office at 2311. Appreciate all your efforts the last 2 years with Bubs. Welcome in Charles Dinky. I think hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. We'll get to know you more as the year ends. But there's some new light on Bubba's Pit Box. We could pretty much we all knew it was kind of coming, and the executives at 2311 felt the same way. So changes were made. Glad that they're retaining Booty in some capacity, but I'm excited for Bubba and Charles to get to work in the off season, learn each other, learn how each other talks on the radio, and hopefully we can get some progression and some finishes come 2025. With that. Let's go to Lights to Break. Lights to Break brought to you by our partners at, I cannot speak today, Nectar Sunglasses, nectarsunglasses.com. Use the promo code VictoryLaneVibes. You can save 15% off your order of your sunnies, and grab the polarized Jaints because there's some awards to be given out. I also am not going to go first again this week.
I'll go first.
I'll go last.
Oh.
All right, who's your lights to break since you came off mute first?
Yeah, I should have just shut up. That's what you get. I'm kind of torn, right? There's several characters this week that could make it. I'll be glad when that gimmick's dead in the ground.
It ain't going nowhere.
That horse turned into glue. That glue has gone stale. That's how worn out it is. Honestly, as much as it pains me to say it, it's got to be Denny for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned, this was a legacy race for him, right? If he makes it, we talk about him completely different. Even if he makes it and lose the title, I think we talk about him completely different as a driver. And this race has been kind of a microcosm of their playoffs, right? They just weren't good enough. Far too often they were, anywhere from 5th to 15th. And that's if they weren't getting up and cut somebody else's wrecks or playing it way too conservative, right? Like I've been screaming about them a whole playoffs that they just haven't been good enough. And, I think that came home to roost again today. Like they just weren't good enough. I think back now to that motor, that sealed motor that got unsealed. About that, you wish you had that motherfucker back right now. That was how many points did they lose for that?
A lot.
Enough. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. So I know it was enough that they would have been above the cut line if that hadn't have happened. So that's where I think like that's where the real curse is, right? Like a unsealed motor from the spring dooms you in the winter. Like, but yeah, so I have to give it to him. I love Denny. I don't mind singing his praises. I think he's a fantastic driver. I think he's better than I'm saying most of the field that made it into this Final Four. But the ones that made it into the Final Four were clutch enough to get it done. And in this era, it's all about just getting a clutch performance when it comes time to. You can win 35 races in a row and finish second and lose the title, right? So I have to give it to Denny. I painfully give it to Denny. And my last two prices this week and last week were Blaney and now Denny. Like I'm going after all the favorites. So these are hard to give out, but I feel like they earned them.
Yeah, make sure you don't have any tax around your tires. People gonna start coming for you with all these bold predictions.
Nah, I ain't scared of these people out here. Y'all ain't gonna intimidate me.
Jer.
So I want to preface this by saying that I think the broadcast really blew this out of proportion. However, I think there's a lot of truth in it. I'm gonna go with Carson Hocevar.
Yes.
Yeah, like the situation in this race wasn't like the worst he's ever done necessarily, but it was still one of those things where it's like, buddy, what are you doing?
Terrorist.
Yeah, like some of it I genuinely do think is him just being a little shit, like genuinely. But a lot of it, I really do wonder, like, how's his relationship with his spotter? How's his relationship with his crew chief? Like, some of it is him just blindly, it feels like he's blindly doing things, is how like insane some of these moments are. But also some of it just seems like it's him just making a blatant mistake. So I really would love to see him shape it up a little bit again, whether that's changing his relationship with his team, having a better relationship, better communication with his spotters, whatever he needs. Or if he just needs to kind of get his shit together, whatever it is. Like, I would really like to see him have a long career in Cup. I think he has a lot of potential. But yeah, he's just kind of got to get that together, and he's got to button that up quite a bit.
What's that song by Toby and Guigwe? Try Jesus, don't try me, because I throw hands. Carson, you in trouble, big dog. You got people coming after you next week. Carl, you got for Lights Too Bright?
Yeah, man. I got Lights Too Bright is my friend Brandon Benesh.
A personal Lights
Everybody
Too Bright.
says, huh? Who? What? You're right. Because who gives a damn? Brandon is the spotter for Austin Dillon.
Uh-oh.
And I feel like if you're going to cheat, you should not leave any evidence out there. Upon listening to this recent radio transmission, I can only think of the phrase, this could have been an email. This could have been something said where people were not going to get a hold of this transmission or transcript or whatever the case may be. It could have been a written, a gentleman's agreement that was unspoken, because now you have provided evidence. Whether or not NASCAR decides to go anywhere with it, we'll see. I don't think they will. But this is the second time this year, as a matter of fact, Brandon has done just this, because he, coach, he hyped his man up to his
the Richmond race
to wreck the 22 and the 11 or whatever. And now here you are saying, hey, we have a predetermined agreement with Hendrick Motorsports to be mindful of them. And now we're late in the race. Hey, we can't pass the 24 per our agreement. We can't give 100%. Why would you say that out loud? Why did you guys not huddle together and say, look, if I say to you 24, you're racing a 24 here, you just don't pass them. It can't be that hard to develop a code. Anybody that has animals such as myself, you learn how to make up one word that means another word, right? Like, I can't say go or outside or eat or food, because my dog will pick up on that. So I have to say something else. So I don't know. This is very special to me that you would just, after the trouble that your organization got in earlier this year, right, you would just open yourselves up to this, and whether NASCAR decides to do anything with it or not, I don't know. But to me, it's a very dumb move. Very, very dumb. So that's my Lights Too Bright.
We as a society need to acknowledge that outside of plate tracks, we've moved beyond the need for spotters. Like, we just need to have that tough conversation and rip this Band-Aid off. Like, I just feel like we just need to get rid of them, except for plate tracks. Like, do you really need a spotter at Martinsville? I feel like you don't. You know what? If
you use your camera.
Hey, if you're the best in the world, if you are what you say you are, which is the best in the world, then you shouldn't need it.
I missed that bit.
Outside of plate tracks.
What a great bit. For me, the stewards for the Brazil GP today. I feel like the F1 race was more egregious than the NASCAR race today, even still with all the shenanigans. Still feel like the FIA stewards this week take the cake, so they get my Lights Too Bright. and Mercedes. And
yeah, I was gonna ask, did they get in trouble? Did that ever anything come of that?
I mean, they did, but they were getting in real trouble tomorrow whenever the FIA does their penalty report. But yeah, they get in big trouble. Big trouble. Who knew that you can't adjust the tire pressures in the middle of the race? It's crazy. Silly rules, but rules are rules and they have to be followed. Like the gigantic highlighted section in the NASCAR rulebook about race elimination. Championship 4 predictions. Who hoists the trophy at the end of Ford Championship weekend in Dum Phoenix? Let's start with trucks. I'm gonna go around the room. Ladies first. Art, who is winning the truck championship?
It's crazy how as soon as the L came out of your mouth, I knew that's where you were going.
Yeah,
like I know I can't prove it, but I knew that's where you're going.
Sure, you can't.
I'll say. I'll say. I don't know. I can. Eckes. They just won. They can win 2 in a row. It's a short track.
Feel that.
I base that on nothing but gut.
Hope. You base that on hope. Hopium.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What, you didn't know you went on mute? Yeah, look at you.
Yeah.
Covering your face.
Slip, baby.
Almost
back again.
Yeah. Go ahead and go since you already unmuted and you're chatting.
Hey.
Come on, Chatterbox.
You talking about truck seas, man? I guess I go. I'm trying to look up the odds right now so I can put some money on it.
Oh, you mean how you could have won us $20,000 last year and you didn't do it?
Don't think a day don't go by that
that
I don't think about.
That's a true degenerate laugh right there.
We could have been out of the trenches, ladies and gentlemen.
I was like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna gamble no money, bro. Ain't no way. And
$20,000 in dust later.
Sure enough. But anyway, because like that parlay was it was all Ford champions and then a Chevy winning the Cup race was what it was. And it was like 100 in was like 70 grand to pay to hit. And I was like, nah, that's not gonna line up like that, bro. Anyway, truck series. I'm gonna say Grant Enfinger. I almost called him the other name, Grant Enfinger. Yeah, I mean they've been kind of a little team that could, man. You know that organization over there and little small owned family team. They brought that sponsor over there, and you know I kind of thought his deal was done, but they won a couple races. They've run good. I'm all for it, man.
Jer.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Enfinger also, mostly because I want to say Enfinger in first again for the third time in the past 4 weeks. So
what's wrong with y'all, man? Y'all some degenerates.
I'm going to choose Team Chaos, and I'm not going to ruin the current rumor for where he's going to be next year, but it's time in Phoenix, Arizona. Corey Heim walks off and wins the Truck Racing Championship. All right. Saturday evening, Xfinity. Anybody but Austin Hill. I don't care who wins. But I really may blow the show up if Austin Hill wins the championship. Anybody but him. That's my pick.
I'm sorry.
No, good.
Man, it's hard to decide. I really feel like experience is good here in this situation. You got Cole Custer came in this race last year. Nobody really thought he was gonna. You know, people really counted him out, and he showed up and he did the damn thing. So I would say probably Cole. My feel good pick would be Justin, but I don't know. But yeah, I go with Cole Custer. I'm going back to back because my Cup pick is going back to back. So
awful.
Back to back. I like that record. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna go AJ. I feel like AJ is I feel like I was gonna say I feel like AJ is most likely to want to ship someone to get a win out of these 4, but then I thought about Austin Hill. But then I was gonna say I don't think Austin Hill's gonna be in the running late. I just feel like he's not gonna be good enough. So I hope I'm right, but I'm gonna say AJ.
I don't know. It's a hard decision because I don't know. I also would like to see Cole Custer come through with it. I think it would be interesting to see how he's the only Ford in the 4. The rest are Chevys. So personally, I think it would be interesting to see how if he starts running in front of all of them to see if they come together and work together to get back ahead of him, or if they just take each other out in frustration, trying to get in front of him. So I'm gonna go with Cole Custer.
And then the big trophy, Sunday, all the squiggles and all the wiggles on the Cup Series Championship trophy. I'm going to choose violence, and I want Michael Jeffrey Jordan and Denny, I have 4 names, Hamlin, to be standing beside Tyler Reddick, hoisting the Cup Series Championship trophy. Mere hours after the preliminary hearing in the courtroom, I choose Tyler Reddick to win the Cup Series Championship.
Do you have any Tyler Reddick diecasts, Jared?
I have the one Lionel's still emailing me about that the car didn't go through just yet. The black cement car. I forget when he ran it. It was sometime really early this year. I think that was his Kansas win.
Well, yeah. I mean, all I was going to tell you is hold on to that, because if he wins the championship, they're going to probably dissolve that team right after that, because NASCAR is and it's probably going to be worth the 120 times you paid for. You probably put a
Let's go, baby. Lionel, send me that diecast.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But you said that you got Ryan going back to back.
Yeah, I got Ryan Bartholomew, Laquan Robinson, Blaney going back to back, baby. I don't know, man. He has just had a certain swagger to him this year. The Fords were off earlier this year, and I was a little bit worried, but I really felt like of all the guys we've had win in this era, which have been all Penske drivers, but I feel like of the guys that have made Final Four appearances and whatever, I feel like really just all the guys that have won titles the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. I really feel like Blaney is one of those guys that could go back to back, and I just feel like they've been really able to salvage bad days and turn up and do well. He's really coming to his own as being able to win a race outright and not be a guy that's just lucky there at the end. And so, yeah, man, I feel like getting experience is going to really bode well here. And so I feel like the 22 and the 12 are going to be the cars to beat on Sunday, and hopefully luck sides heavier with the 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You got it.
I mean, okay, you look at all 4 of these drivers, and there's just like a little something that would be attached to each of them if they won the championship, right? You've got Ryan Blaney. If he wins this year, it's back-to-back. There's something. Joey Logano, if he wins this year, it's just another feather in his even year cap, right? So there's that. Tyler Reddick, he won regular championship and 2311's dealing with the lawsuit. So if he wins, there's that whole situation there. And then William Byron, if he wins, like, not to be mean, but like, who would have expected that?
Doesn't count.
Yeah, so that's the wild card finish there. So like, frankly, no matter where this goes, at the end of the day in Phoenix, we're gonna have a good finish. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be the story they're looking for. So like, it's so frustrating to come to the end of this championship run and have all this like shenanigans leading up to it and be so frustrated with the playoff system as it is, and then come down to these 4 and be like, well, shoot, y'all got what you wanted. You have a storyline no matter what happens. Like, personally, I'm rooting for the storyline that is Tyler Reddick winning and them having to hand the trophy over to him while he's part of the team that is suing the crap out of them. That would be my own personal joy, I guess. But like, frankly, I don't think it matters who wins. I think it's going to be a good outcome regardless.
Yeah,
And
like
Mr. Freeman.
I feel like my heart. Well, one, let me go back. I think Jim made a good point. Like they always talk about this idea of like storylines and that's why we do this and you got to have our game 7 moments. It's like, dude, if anyone shows up with a pulse on Sunday, there's a storyline for you. Like this, as hoping for a storyline as the dictation behind and the reason behind your decision as a sports organization. Like it's a very low threshold. I just had to point that out because I just hate that NASCAR makes that argument so much. But in terms of picks, my heart wants the 45 to win. I'd love to see that, like everyone has mentioned. Like I want to see them give the trophy. I think that'd be such a nice middle finger to the sanctioning body of this sports entertainment organization. But my heart says the 20, or my brain says the 22. Carl mentioned wanting, experience and Penske coming up clutch. Well, of the two drivers in it, one of them has more experience and has also done the exact thing required as well, just not as recently. It was a whole year earlier, So I'm going to say Joey gets it done. I feel like the reason I'm going with Joey over the 12 is simply for the fact that they've had 3 weeks to prepare, whereas the 12 had to fight, obviously, the last 2 weeks to try and earn their way in. Now, credit, yes, that didn't hurt them last year for the 12, but the 22 was as good as the 12 in that race. And so now if they've got extra time to prepare that the 12 couldn't have had, I feel like that's just going to give them a little bit of an edge. Like they figured something out to save in their back pocket for the inevitable late race caution that will bring everyone down for a pit stop, and we will re-rack them with 10 to go, and we'll get the crazy fanning out on the first lap, and then it'll be trash for the rest. So yeah, 22 gets it.
I'm gonna be real, bro. 22 can't get it because I can't deal with him passing Kyle Busch in the record of titles. So I need him to stay.
Well, one of Kyle Busch's titles are tainted, so we ain't even got to talk about it.
Yeah, but it's tainted your upper lip. It's gonna be.
No, I feel like this is going to end up laying out like last season did, where like the truck championship was the Xfinity championship was and then the Cup championship race was fire. So I feel like we've all made really good picks. We will soon see what lays out. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of news stories going into next weekend. Which leads me to, before we get to open mic, I'm gonna go ahead and do the play now. We are 1 week away from somebody winning that Dr. Pepper McDonald's dual scheme Christopher Bell could never rear quarter panel from Art's Closet. We're giving that away live next week, live season ending recording in front of all of you beautiful listeners, live on Twitter. I'm gonna figure out how to put it to the YouTube. We're going to be having some beverages for those who can. Jared gave us a I wouldn't say a game, but a recipe to follow. So we'll share what that is and what we're partaking in next week. So stick around after the Cup race. We're going to nail down the time. But regardless of whether it's 6:30 or 7:30 or 8:30 or 9:30, we're going live until whenever we get tired of talking to y'all. We're going to give away some sheep out to wrap this 2024 NASCAR season up. Open mic. Art, what's your question? You're on mute.
Key step. So I thought about this and then forgot it and then remembered it. In light of today's shenanigans, particularly with the 1 and the 3, do you think they should change the final cutoff race to a different track to reduce the chance of team orders like there were today?
Absolutely.
So
100%.
the reason I say that is because like when you're at a track like this or a Bristol, like they're so narrow, and the fact, now credit, I don't think anyone ever expected collusion to this level, right? Like I don't think any of us were predicting this when the day started, but I just wonder if the last race was at, say, Charlotte or Kansas, just like a mile and a half in general, would that be a better opportunity? I still think you should have Martinsville in the finals set, the final round, but would that be a more, I hate to use the word fair, but a more pure track to decide who races for a championship?
I feel like
I say hell yes, but I
the
want
last two races. I mean, I agree. Martinsville should be in as a part of the final round to get to the championship 4. However, I feel like the last race before the championship race should also be on a mile and a half. That way, you're on a bigger track. You can't play as many games. Like the gamesmanship sort of goes away because everybody's not as close knit. Lap traffic isn't as close knit. Just because if it's on a bigger track, the cars are more aero dependent. And if you have a regular race car, you won't be, anywhere close to being in a race. So you'll just retire the car anyway. So I'm in agreement with you. We should go mile and a half to end the season. What say the rest of you?
Yeah, I think that's probably the move. I just think like at this point, maybe at this point is the wrong phrase, but I think after the situation of what happened today, they should try something. And yeah, maybe switching up the track is the something they should try.
Carl.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that I think the fallout from this is probably going to have its effect. I don't think you will see an immediate change next year. I think the NASCAR really has its hands full with this lawsuit, and I don't think they can balance this legal battle that they could very well potentially lose with unless all the teams at once came and said, like, we want to make this change. I don't think they would even attempt it. But would I like to see something? Absolutely. I got to admit, Jared, a little bit, I was mildly distracted when you asked that question. I was looking at something about tonight's race. Could you give me the clip notes of that question one more time and make sure I understood it correctly?
So Art asked, given what happened, the events in tonight's race, where on a smaller, narrower, short track, you can have race manipulation. Do you think that this sort of gives the argument where you should change the format of the round of 8 and have the race before the championship race be at a bigger track, like a mile and a half, like a Kansas or a Charlotte, where it's not as easy to manipulate the results because the field's more spread out?
Well, I think Martinsville has always sort of been the race before the end of, close to the end of the season. I think it should stay there. I think the date's good. What I think that should really happen, that is a good talk about, what change we make to the playoff system, and running close on time, so I'll keep it short. Is get rid of this final race stuff. Make it the best of the round. Make an adjustment. However you need to do it. Wherein like the last 3 races of the year. So you've got this year it was Homestead, Martinsville, Phoenix. So whoever comes out the best for that round is the champion. I mean, remove because I would imagine that wouldn't create a situation like today, but I don't know that for a fact. But yeah, I mean, I guess, but I think that Martinsville's always kind of belonged in the date that it has. I wouldn't want to see that go away, but something's got to be changed. Yeah, I don't know what the solution would be to that.
I just want to point out, I was looking at the schedule as we were talking through this for next year, and I think I forgot how bad the playoff schedule is for next year.
Mm-hmm.
The round of 8 is Vegas, Talladega, Martinsville.
Garbage.
Like, who? I wish that people could see my visual reaction to this news, but like, who put Talladega in the last round?
The drama, the ratings, we're doing it for the entertainment. entertainment.
The storylines, Arthur.
Yeah, and I mean, Talladega's not even a good playoff race anymore because it's just like a row of everybody in the team. It's like, all right, you can't pass this guy, and you got to run 50% throttle because we got to save fuel.
Got to save fuel.
So Anyway,
gosh, I forgot how bad this was. I see Worldwide Technology in here. I see New Hampshire in here.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
But no Homestead in here. I see the Roval is back. I remember reading this, but I've completely just deleted that information from my brain. So I'm like reaccessing it for the first time.
And then, we get to go to Mexico, and I'm excited about that because just the most that parent takes you can imagine are going to come out of that week.
Unfollow me that week because I'm going to be really very angry with people and not holding back. So unfollow me.
Yeah.
Carl, are you going to be watching it with Kyle Busch since he can't go down to Mexico?
It's so funny. It's hilarious. Oh, my God. That joke was made 30 times and they announced the schedule. Oh, man, Arthur, you should go on tour. You should go on tour with Tony Hinchcliffe. You guys are fucking hilarious.
I'm getting pissy with me because your guy kept the heater on him.
Man, look, bro.
Anyway. Bro. You always gotta have it on you. But nevertheless, anyway, facts. But again, thank you all for listening. Appreciate everybody who's been retweeting the giveaway tweet. Just to make sure you understand the rules of winning the quarter panel, you just have to be a follower and not be a shitbag. Because this one's more expensive than the last gift. So as long as you're a decent human being and you follow us, you win the sheet metal.
And yep.
That's our only rule. So with that, like, comment, subscribe, tell your mammy, tell your Grammy. We appreciate you all for listening. Thank you for being here. And we look forward to entertaining you next weekend and next Sunday night live on Twitter for our 2024 season wrap up. And then Carl's probably going to hold a gun to our heads and we're going to redo the report card episodes again because that was a big hit last year. But we'll see y'all next week. Bring your alcohol. Play the music. Inebriation.